The shuttle landed softly on the green field outside the city. Ambassador Zixthar stepped out first, their three eyes blinking in the bright sunlight of Earth. Behind them, the rest of the Galactic Council's diplomatic team followed. This was an important day. Humanity would soon join the community of spacefaring species that spanned across thousands of worlds. Zixthar had visited 47 planets in their career. They had met species that breathed methane, species that lived in water, and species that communicated through color changes. But humans were special. They had developed faster than any species in recorded history. In just a few hundred years, they went from basic flight to faster-than-light travel. The Council had to understand them better. A group of humans waited near a platform decorated with flowers and colorful fabric. They smiled and waved. Zixthar had studied human expressions. Smiling meant happiness and welcome. That was good. "Welcome to Earth," said a tall human woman in a blue uniform. "I am President Martinez. We are honored to have you here." Zixthar bowed in the human way. "The honor is ours, President Martinez. We look forward to this new friendship." As they walked toward the platform, Zixthar noticed something moving between the humans. Small creatures walked on four legs beside the humans. They had fur in different colors: brown, black, white, yellow, and mixed patterns. Their tails moved back and forth. Some were small enough to be carried. Others were as tall as a human child's waist. One of these creatures ran up to Zixthar. It had golden fur and a long pink tongue hanging from its mouth. Its tail wagged so fast it seemed to blur. The creature made a happy sound and pressed its nose against Zixthar's lower leg. Zixthar froze. Their security officer reached for a weapon. "Oh, don't worry," President Martinez laughed. "That's just Max. He's friendly. He's a dog. A golden retriever, to be specific." "A dog?" Zixthar relaxed slightly. The creature called Max sat down and looked up with big brown eyes. Something about those eyes seemed intelligent, kind even. "Yes, dogs are our companion animals. Most humans have at least one. They live with us in our homes." Zixthar's xenobiologist, Dr. Krenal, immediately pulled out a scanning device. "Fascinating. May I?" "Of course," said the president. Dr. Krenal ran the scanner over Max. "Warm-blooded. Mammalian. Carnivore teeth structure, but the digestive system shows omnivorous adaptation. Social behavior indicators are extremely high, and the bond markers..." The doctor's voice filled with wonder. "The bond markers between this creature and humans are remarkable. I've never seen such strong emotional connection readings between two different species." A small human child, no more than 7 Earth years old, ran past them. Another dog ran beside her, this one much smaller with short legs and large pointed ears. The child threw a bright red object and the dog chased it with obvious joy. The dog caught the object in its mouth and ran back to the child, tail wagging. "That's called fetch," explained President Martinez. "It's a game they love to play." Throughout the ceremony, Zixthar watched the dogs. They sat quietly when the humans spoke. They walked calmly beside their humans. Children hugged them. Elderly humans rested their hands on the dogs' heads as they walked. The dogs seemed to know when to be gentle and when to be playful. During the reception afterward, Zixthar stood on a terrace overlooking a park. Dozens of humans walked through it, and most had dogs with them. Big dogs, small dogs, fluffy dogs, smooth-coated dogs. All seemed peaceful and happy. Dr. Krenal joined them. "I've been observing, Ambassador. These dogs appear in incredible variety. Look, that tiny one fits in a human's bag. That large one over there is nearly as tall as me. Yet they're all the same species, just different breeds." "Breeds?" Zixthar asked. "Humans have selectively bred them for different traits over time. Some for size, some for specific behaviors, some for appearance. It's remarkable genetic diversity management." A security officer from the team, Ventar, approached. "Ambassador," I've completed the preliminary safety scan of this region. These dogs are everywhere. Every home seems to have one or two, sometimes 3 or 4. I can confirm they pose no threat. In fact, they seem to serve protective functions for humans. Several detected my scan and positioned themselves between me and their humans. Protective? Zixthar was intrigued. But they seem so gentle. They are gentle, said President Martinez, who had walked over to join them. But they're also loyal. A dog will protect its family if needed. Though honestly, most dogs these days just want to play and be loved. She reached down to pet a brown and white dog that had followed her. This is Bruno. He's been my companion for 8 years. Bruno looked up at the president with clear devotion in his eyes. Then he looked at Zixthar and wagged his tail. How did this partnership begin? Asked Dr. Kreenall. This level of interspecies bonding doesn't develop overnight. Oh, humans and dogs have been together for a very long time, said President Martinez. Some scientists think we've lived together for 40,000 years, maybe longer. 40,000 years. Zixthar's mind spun with the implications. That was longer than some civilizations had existed. They evolved alongside us, the president continued. We shaped them, and in many ways they shaped us too. Dogs taught us about loyalty, unconditional love, and joy in simple things. We couldn't imagine life without them. As the sun set, Zixthar watched a young couple walk their dog, a medium-sized animal with fluffy black fur. The dog stopped to sniff a flower. The humans waited patiently, smiling at each other. There was such peace in the scene. Your planet is beautiful, Zixthar said, and these companions of yours are remarkable, such a gentle species living in harmony with you. President Martinez smiled. Dogs are special. They're humanity's best friend. That night, Zixthar wrote their first report to the Galactic Council. They described Earth's beauty, humanity's welcoming nature, and the fascinating companion animals that seem to be everywhere. They noted the peaceful coexistence between humans and dogs as evidence of humanity's kind and nurturing character. Dr. Kreenall, in their own quarters, began compiling a database of dog breeds and behaviors. There were so many varieties. Where had they all come from? Computer, Dr. Kreenall said to their research assistant. Access Earth's historical biological records. I want to know more about the origin of these dogs. Where did they come from? What species are they descended from? The computer beeped. Searching Earth databases. Primary ancestor species, Canis lupus. Common name, wolf. Accessing records now. Dr. Kreenall settled in to read, expecting a simple story of domestication. They had no idea that what they were about to learn would change everything the Galactic Council thought they knew about humanity. The shuttle landed softly on the green field outside the city. Ambassador Zixthar stepped out first, their 3 eyes blinking in the bright sunlight of Earth. Behind them, the rest of the Galactic Council's diplomatic team followed. This was an important day. Humanity would soon join the community of spacefaring species that spanned across thousands of worlds. Zixthar had visited 47 planets in their career. They had met species that breathed methane, species that lived in water, and species that communicated through color changes. But humans were special. They had developed faster than any species in recorded history. In just a few hundred years, they went from basic flight to faster-than-light travel. The Council had to understand them better. A group of humans waited near a platform decorated with flowers and colorful fabric. They smiled and waved. Zixthar had studied human expressions. Smiling meant happiness and welcome. That was good. "Welcome to Earth," said a tall human woman in a blue uniform. "I am President Martinez. We are honored to have you here." Zixthar bowed in the human way. "The honor is ours, President Martinez. We look forward to this new friendship." As they walked toward the platform, Zixthar noticed something moving between the humans. Small creatures walked on four legs beside the humans. They had fur in different colors: brown, black, white, yellow, and mixed patterns. Their tails moved back and forth. Some were small enough to be carried. Others were as tall as a human child's waist. One of these creatures ran up to Zixthar. It had golden fur and a long pink tongue hanging from its mouth. Its tail wagged so fast it seemed to blur. The creature made a happy sound and pressed its nose against Zixthar's lower leg. Zixthar froze. Their security officer reached for a weapon. "Oh, don't worry," President Martinez laughed. "That's just Max. He's friendly. He's a dog, a golden retriever to be specific." "A dog?" Zixthar relaxed slightly. The creature called Max sat down and looked up with big brown eyes. Something about those eyes seemed intelligent, kind even. "Yes, dogs are our companion animals. Most humans have at least one. They live with us in our homes." Zixthar's xenobiologist, Dr. Krenal, immediately pulled out a scanning device. "Fascinating. May I?" "Of course," said the president. Dr. Krenal ran the scanner over Max. Warm-blooded, mammalian, carnivore teeth structure, but the digestive system shows omnivorous adaptation. Social behavior indicators are extremely high, and the bond markers— The doctor's voice filled with wonder. "The bond markers between this creature and humans are remarkable. I've never seen such strong emotional connection readings between two different species." A small human child, no more than 7 Earth years old, ran past them. Another dog ran beside her, this one much smaller with short legs and large pointed ears. The child threw a bright red object, and the dog chased it with obvious joy. The dog caught the object in its mouth and ran back to the child, tail wagging. "That's called fetch," explained President Martinez. "It's a game they love to play." Throughout the ceremony, Zixthar watched the dogs. They sat quietly when the humans spoke. They walked calmly beside their humans. Children hugged them. Elderly humans rested their hands on the dogs' heads as they walked. The dogs seemed to know when to be gentle and when to be playful. During the reception afterward, Zixthar stood on a terrace overlooking a park. Dozens of humans walked through it, and most had dogs with them. Big dogs, small dogs, fluffy dogs, smooth-coated dogs. All seemed peaceful and happy. Dr. Krenal joined them. "I've been observing, Ambassador. These dogs appear in incredible variety. Look, that tiny one fits in a human's bag. That large one over there is nearly as tall as me. Yet they're all the same species, just different breeds." "Breeds?" Zixthar asked. "Humans have selectively bred them for different traits over time. Some for size, some for specific behaviors, some for appearance. It's remarkable genetic diversity management." A security officer from the team, Ventar, approached. "Ambassador, I've completed the preliminary safety scan of this region. These dogs are everywhere. Every home seems to have 1 or 2, sometimes 3 or 4. I can confirm they pose no threat. In fact, they seem to serve protective functions for humans. Several detected my scan and positioned themselves between me and their humans." "Protective?" Zixthar was intrigued. "But they seem so gentle." "They are gentle," said President Martinez, who had walked over to join them. "But they're also loyal. A dog will protect its family if needed. Though honestly, most dogs these days just want to play and be loved." She reached down to pet a brown and white dog that had followed her. "This is Bruno. He's been my companion for 8 years." Bruno looked up at the president with clear devotion in his eyes. Then he looked at Zixthar and wagged his tail. "How did this partnership begin?" asked Dr. Krenal. "This level of interspecies bonding doesn't develop overnight." "Oh, humans and dogs have been together for a very long time," said President Martinez. "Some scientists think we've lived together for 40,000 years, maybe longer." 40,000 years. Zixthar's mind spun with the implications. That was longer than some civilizations had existed. They evolved alongside us, the president continued. We shaped them, and in many ways they shaped us too. Dogs taught us about loyalty, unconditional love, and joy in simple things. We couldn't imagine life without them. As the sun set, Zixthar watched a young couple walk their dog, a medium-sized animal with fluffy black fur. The dog stopped to sniff a flower. The humans waited patiently, smiling at each other. There was such peace in the scene. "Your planet is beautiful," Zixthar said, "and these companions of yours are remarkable. Such a gentle species living in harmony with you." President Martinez smiled. "Dogs are special. They're humanity's best friend." That night, Zixthar wrote their first report to the Galactic Council. They described Earth's beauty, humanity's welcoming nature, and the fascinating companion animals that seemed to be everywhere. They noted the peaceful coexistence between humans and dogs as evidence of humanity's kind and nurturing character. Dr. Krenal, in their own quarters, began compiling a database of dog breeds and behaviors. There were so many varieties. Where had they all come from? "Computer," Dr. Krenal said to their research assistant, "access Earth's historical biological records. I want to know more about the origin of these dogs. Where did they come from? What species are they descended from?" The computer beeped. "Searching Earth databases. Primary ancestor species. Canis lupus. Common name, wolf. Accessing records now." Dr. Krenal settled in to read, expecting a simple story of domestication. They had no idea that what they were about to learn would change everything the Galactic Council thought they knew about humanity. Dr. Krenal spent 3 days touring Earth's natural history museums. Ambassador Zixthar had approved the research mission enthusiastically. Understanding Earth's biology would help the Council better integrate humanity into the galactic community. The dogs fascinated the entire diplomatic team, and everyone wanted to know more about their origins. The Museum of Natural History in the city called New York was massive. Dr. Krenal walked through halls filled with preserved animals, ancient bones, and detailed displays. A human guide named Jennifer accompanied them, answering questions with obvious passion for her world's history. "Here we are," Jennifer said, stopping in front of a large display. "This is our wolf exhibit." Dr. Krenal stared at the mounted animal behind the glass. It looked similar to the dogs they had seen, but different. Larger. The fur was gray and white. The face seemed more angular, more serious. Yellow glass eyes stared out with an expression that seemed watchful. "This is a wolf?" Dr. Krenal asked. "Yes. Canis lupus, the gray wolf. This is what dogs evolved from. Though it took thousands of years and human selective breeding to create all the varieties you see today." The display showed wolves in a snowy landscape. The information panel described them as endangered species, protected in sanctuaries and national parks. Current population numbers were listed. Conservation efforts were detailed. "So humans protect wolves now?" Dr. Krenal made notes on their data pad. "Absolutely. We nearly drove them to extinction a few centuries ago, but we realized our mistake. Now we work hard to preserve them. They're important for ecosystem balance." Dr. Krenal felt touched. This showed humanity's compassionate side. They had recognized an error and fixed it. They protected the ancestors of their beloved companions. Over the next few days, Dr. A. Krenal visited 3 more museums and a wolf sanctuary outside a place called Colorado. The sanctuary held 12 wolves in a large natural enclosure. The doctor watched from a safe viewing platform as the wolves moved through the trees. They were beautiful. Their movements were smooth and careful. They communicated with each other through sounds and body language. One wolf lifted its head and howled, a long musical sound that echoed across the valley. The others joined in, creating a chorus that made Dr. Krenal's skin tingle. "That sound is famous on Earth," said Marcus, the sanctuary director. "Wolves howling. It represents wilderness, freedom, the natural world." "It's lovely," Dr. Kreenall agreed. "They seem very peaceful." "Oh, they are, as long as you respect them. These are wild animals, not pets. They need space and proper care. But yes, in their natural environment, they're magnificent creatures." Dr. Kreenall watched a younger wolf play with what looked like an older family member. The behavior reminded them of the dogs playing in Earth's parks. The connection was clear. Back at their research facility, Dr. Kreenall began compiling a comprehensive report. They accessed Earth's databases, cross-referencing genetic records, archaeological findings, and historical documents. The story of dog domestication was longer than they had initially thought. The genetic studies showed dogs split from wolves somewhere between 15,000 and 40,000 Earth years ago. The exact timing was debated by human scientists, but everyone agreed it happened during humanity's early history. "Computer, show me what humans were like 40,000 years ago," Dr. Kreenall requested. Images appeared on the screen. Early humans living in caves and simple shelters. They wore animal skins. They made tools from stone. They hunted for food and gathered plants. Life was hard and dangerous. "And what were wolves like during this same period?" More images appeared. Wolves hunting in packs. Wolves in various environments, forests, plains, mountains. Population estimates suggested wolves were widespread and numerous during that era. "So both species were much different than they are now," Dr. Kreenall mused. "Humans have cities and technology. Wolves are endangered. Both have changed dramatically." Something nagged at the doctor's mind, a question that wouldn't go away. If wolves were so different back then, more numerous, more widespread, what were they actually like? Not the protected sanctuary animals of modern Earth, but the ancient wolves that first encountered humans? Dr. Kreenall dove deeper into the records. They found cave paintings created by early humans. Many showed animals, food animals like deer and bison, dangerous animals like bears and large cats. And there, in several caves, were images of wolves. The paintings showed wolves hunting in groups. They showed wolves and humans in the same territories. Some paintings seemed to show conflict. Others showed cooperation. The relationship was complicated. "Computer, access academic papers about ancient wolf behavior. I want behavioral reconstructions based on fossil evidence and modern wolf studies." The computer began displaying papers. Dr. Kreenall read through abstract after abstract. Words jumped out: apex predator, pack hunter, territorial, competition with early humans for prey. Dr. Kreenall sat back, thinking. Then they accessed video archives. Earth had extensive documentation of wolf behavior, both historical footage and modern studies of wolves in the wild. The first video showed wolves hunting deer. Dr. Kreenall watched as a pack of 6 wolves worked together with frightening efficiency. They spread out, communicating silently. They drove the deer toward other pack members. When they caught it, the kill was quick but brutal. The wolves fed together, a family unit sharing resources. Another video showed wolves defending their territory from another pack. The aggression was startling, snarling, snapping, displays of dominance. These were not the gentle, tail-wagging dogs playing in parks. Dr. Kreenall spent hours watching footage. Wolves chasing prey for miles, their endurance incredible. Wolves taking down animals much larger than themselves through coordinated attacks. Wolves protecting their young with fierce determination. Wolves howling to communicate across vast distances. A nature documentary explained wolf pack dynamics, the hierarchy, the leadership, the complex social structures. It described how wolves could run at speeds over 35 human miles per hour. How their bite force exceeded 400 pounds per square inch. How they could survive in nearly any climate from frozen tundra to hot deserts. They were survivors. the documentary narrator said. Perfectly adapted hunters who once roamed across most of the northern hemisphere. Where humans went, wolves went. They competed for the same prey, the same territories. Two intelligent social predators vying for the same resources. Dr. Kreenal's hands began to shake slightly. They pulled up more ancient records. Archaeological sites where human and wolf remains were found together. Studies of ancient wolf genetics showing which traits were selected for domestication. Papers about how humans had deliberately bred dogs from wolves, choosing specific characteristics over generations. A timeline appeared on the screen showing how dog breeds developed. From the first wolf dogs living alongside humans to the hundreds of modern breeds. Each step was intentional. Each change was directed by human choice. Dr. Kreenal found a database of bite force measurements. Modern dogs ranged widely depending on breed, but even the strongest had bite forces around 230 to 300 pounds per square inch, less than wolves. Humans had bred that out, along with many other traits. They made them weaker, Dr. Kreenal whispered. Gentler, more dependent. But why? And more importantly, what exactly were wolves before humans domesticated them? Dr. Kreenal accessed paleontological records. Ancient wolves were even larger than modern ones, some species weighing up to 150 pounds. Pack sizes in prehistoric times may have reached 30 or 40 individuals. They hunted megafauna, huge prey animals that were now extinct. A research paper caught the doctor's attention. The title read, Competitive Exclusion and Cooperation, How Humans and Wolves Shared Territories in the Late Pleistocene. Dr. Kreenal read with growing horror. The paper detailed how early humans and wolves were direct competitors. They hunted the same prey. They needed the same resources. Both were pack hunters with complex social structures. Both were intelligent and adaptable. In many regions, they fought for dominance. The paper suggested that domestication wasn't just about kindness or companionship. It was strategic. By taking wolves into their groups, humans eliminated competitors and gained powerful allies. They turned rivals into tools. Dr. Kreenal stood up suddenly, knocking over their chair. Computer, show me modern wolf capabilities versus ancient wolf capabilities. The comparison made everything worse. Ancient wolves were bigger, stronger, more aggressive. The sanctuary wolves of modern Earth were shadows of what their ancestors had been. And humans had taken those apex predators, those dangerous, powerful, intelligent hunters, and transformed them into animals that slept in children's beds, into animals that played fetch and begged for treats, into animals that looked at humans with love and devotion. Dr. Kreenal grabbed their communication device with trembling hands. Ambassador Zixthar, we need to talk immediately. It's urgent. It's about the dogs. It's about what they used to be. The emergency research session began at dawn. Ambassador Zixthar had cleared their schedule and summoned the entire diplomatic team. Dr. Kreenal stood at the front of the conference room, screens glowing behind them with images of wolves and data charts. Thank you all for coming, Zixthar said. Dr. Kreenal has discovered something important about the dogs we've been observing. Doctor, please share your findings. Dr. Kreenal took a deep breath. I need you all to understand something. The dogs we've been petting and calling gentle companions, they come from wolves, but not the sanctuary wolves we've seen. Those modern wolves are already changed by thousands of years of human influence on their environment. I'm talking about ancient wolves, the wolves that existed when humans first encountered them. The doctor activated a holographic display. A massive wolf appeared, larger and more muscular than any they had seen in the sanctuaries. Its eyes were yellow and cold. Its teeth were visible even with its mouth closed. This is a reconstruction of Canis lupus from 40,000 years ago. Based on fossil records and genetic analysis, these animals were apex predators. Do you all know what that means? Security Officer Ventar nodded slowly. top of the food chain. No natural predators of their own. Exactly. Wolves were perfectly designed killing machines. Let me show you what they could do. The hologram changed. It showed a pack of 8 wolves chasing a massive deer-like creature through snow. The wolves moved with terrifying coordination. They took turns running at the front, keeping the prey moving until it tired. When it finally stumbled, they attacked from multiple angles at once. The kill took less than a minute. That's called endurance hunting, Dr. Kreenall explained. Wolves can run for hours. They can cover over 30 miles in a single night. Their prey runs until it can't run anymore, and then... The doctor gestured at the hologram. Ambassador Zixthar felt their stomachs churn. All 3 of them. How fast can they run? Asked another team member. Over 35 miles per hour in short bursts. They can maintain 25 miles per hour for extended periods, and they have endurance that exceeds almost any prey animal. The hologram shifted again, showing a close-up of a wolf's skull. The jaws opened, revealing rows of teeth. Bite force of over 400 pounds per square inch. Those teeth can crack bones. They can tear through hide and muscle easily. The jaw structure is designed for grabbing and holding struggling prey. But surely they only hunted animals, someone asked hopefully. Dr. Kreenall's expression was grim. They hunted everything. Deer, elk, moose, bison. In packs, they could take down prey 10 times their size. And yes, there are records of wolves attacking early humans. Especially children or injured adults. We were prey to them, just like anything else. The room fell silent. There's more, Dr. Kreenall continued. Wolves aren't just physically dangerous. They're intelligent. They have complex social structures. They communicate through body language, vocalizations, and scent marking. They plan their hunts. They teach their young. They remember locations and patterns. In many ways, they're like us. A new image appeared, a map showing wolf territories across ancient Earth. Wolves lived everywhere humans lived. Europe, Asia, North America. Anywhere there was prey, there were wolves. And anywhere there was prey, there were also humans. We competed directly. We fought over the same food, the same territory. So what happened? Zixthar asked. How did humans survive? That's the disturbing part. Ambassador, humans didn't just survive. They won. And they did it by domesticating their competition. Dr. Kreenall pulled up genetic charts showing the split between dogs and wolves. Around 40,000 years ago, some wolves began living near human camps. Maybe they were scavenging food scraps. Maybe they were the weaker wolves pushed out by stronger packs. Maybe they were just curious. But humans saw an opportunity. The doctor brought up images of ancient human settlements with wolf dogs nearby. Humans began selecting which wolves could stay and which couldn't. They kept the ones that were less aggressive toward humans, the ones that were more social, more trainable. Generation after generation, they bred the wolves that served them best. They eliminated the dangerous traits. They enhanced the useful ones. More images flashed by, showing the gradual change from wolf to dog over thousands of years. Humans didn't just domesticate wolves. They rebuilt them from the ground up. They made them smaller, weaker, more dependent. They bred dogs for specific tasks, some to help hunt, some to guard property, some to herd other animals, some just to be companions. A comparison chart appeared, showing wolves versus dogs across multiple categories. Modern wolves have bite forces over 400 pounds per square inch. Most dogs, 200 to 300 at most. Wolves are highly independent and can survive on their own. Most dogs, they rely on humans for food, shelter, protection. Wolves are cautious and suspicious of anything new. Dogs, many breeds are friendly to everyone they meet. Ventar spoke up. So humans took an apex predator that competed with them for resources, and they changed it into something that serves them? Yes. And it gets more interesting. Dogs aren't just changed wolves. Humans bred them for different purposes. Look at this. Images of various dog breeds appeared. Tiny dogs that could fit in a hand. Massive dogs that weighed as much as a human. Dogs with long legs for running. Dogs with short legs for going into burrows. Dogs with thick fur for cold climates. Dogs with thin fur for hot climates. Over 400 breeds, Dr. Krenal said, all from wolves, all shaped by human design. And humans did this while they were still in their early developmental stage as a species, before they had cities or writing or advanced technology. They domesticated apex predators using nothing but patience, observation, and selective breeding. The implications hung in the air like smoke. There's something else, Dr. Krenal added quietly. I researched other animals humans have domesticated. It's not just wolves. New images appeared. Horses, large, powerful animals that humans rode into battle. Cattle, massive herd animals that could weigh over a ton. Cats, solo hunters with retractable claws and exceptional hunting skills. Pigs, sheep, goats, chickens. Humans domesticated dozens of species. Large ones, dangerous ones, useful ones. They took the wild world and bent it to their purposes. And they did it so long ago that they think of it as normal. They don't even realize how remarkable it is. Ambassador Zixthar stood and walked to the window, looking out at the city. They could see humans walking below. Many with dogs on leashes, dogs that once were wolves, dogs that once could have killed those same humans. Let me make sure I understand, Zixthar said slowly. Humans encountered one of their planet's apex predators. Instead of avoiding them or just killing them all, they decided to selectively breed them over thousands of years until they became loyal companions? Yes, Ambassador. And these apex predators, these wolves, they were intelligent pack hunters with powerful jaws, high endurance, and territorial instincts. Yes, Ambassador. And humans did this 40,000 years ago when they themselves were still primitive by galactic standards? Yes, Ambassador. Zixthar turned back to the room. What does this tell us about humans? Dr. Krenal pulled up one final image. It showed an ancient human standing beside a wolf dog, both looking out over a vast wilderness. Both were hunters, both were survivors, but one had convinced the other to follow them. It tells us that humans are patient, Dr. Krenal said. It tells us they're strategic. It tells us they don't see other species as just enemies or food or obstacles. They see potential. They see partnership. Ventar stood up. Or it tells us that humans are the most dangerous species we've ever encountered. They don't just defeat their enemies. They transform them. They remake them into tools. The room erupted into argument. Some agreed with Dr. Krenal's optimistic view. Others sided with Ventar's concerns. Ambassador Zixthar listened to both sides, their mind racing. Finally, they raised a hand for silence. We need to inform the Galactic Council immediately. This changes everything we thought we knew about humanity. We need to convene an emergency session. As the team began sending urgent messages across space, Zixthar looked once more at the image of the ancient human and wolf dog, two predators standing together against the world. What kind of species could turn their fiercest rival into their most loyal friend? And more importantly, what did that mean for the rest of the galaxy? The Galactic Council chamber was built to inspire awe. It floated in orbit above the neutral planet of Sanctuary, a massive ring structure with windows looking out into the stars. Representatives from 237 species sat in their designated areas, each section designed for their particular biology. Water tanks for aquatic species. Low-gravity platforms for fragile beings. Heated chambers for cold-blooded delegates. Ambassador Zixthar stood at the central podium, feeling the weight of thousands of eyes, or eye equivalents. The council session had been called with emergency priority, which hadn't happened in 300 years. Every representative was present, either physically or by hologram. High Chancellor Morteth, a being who looked like living crystal, spoke first. Their voice rang like bells. Ambassador Zixthar, you have requested this emergency session regarding the species called humans. They are scheduled to join the galactic community in 30 days. What have you discovered that requires such urgency? Zixthar activated the central display. An image of a golden retriever appeared, sitting peacefully with its tongue hanging out in what humans called a smile. This is a dog, Zixthar said. A common animal on Earth. Nearly every human household has one or more. They are friendly, loyal, and gentle. We initially reported them as evidence of humanity's kind nature. The ambassador paused. We were wrong. Or rather, we didn't understand the full story. The image changed to show a wolf. Similar in shape to the dog, but larger, wilder, more dangerous. This is a wolf, the ancestor of dogs, but not the wolves of today, protected, endangered, living in sanctuaries. I'm speaking of ancient wolves, apex predators that competed directly with early humans for survival. Zixthar began the presentation Dr. Krenal had prepared. The council watched in growing alarm as data flowed across screens, bite force measurements, hunting footage, pack behavior analysis, territorial aggression patterns. The comparison between ancient wolves and modern sanctuary wolves showed a species diminished by environmental change and human pressure. Then came the comparison between wolves and dogs, the physical changes, the behavioral modifications, the genetic evidence of deliberate selection over thousands of generations. Humans encountered these apex predators 40,000 years ago, Zixthar explained. They chose not to simply kill them or avoid them. Instead, they began a breeding program. They selected wolves that were less aggressive. They encouraged traits that made wolves more useful to humans. Over thousands of years, they transformed one of their planet's most dangerous predators into a companion animal. Representative Kil-Ara, from the peaceful herbivore species of Grazon the Four, stood up. Their voice trembled. Are you telling us that humans can take a dangerous predator and change it? Make it into something else entirely? Yes, Representative, and it's not just wolves. The display changed again, showing horses. Large, powerful animals that could run at high speeds and kick with bone-breaking force. Humans domesticated horses 6,000 years ago. They used them for transportation, for agriculture, and for war. A cavalry charge was one of the most feared military tactics on ancient Earth. More images appeared. Cattle, massive and strong. Chickens, descended from aggressive jungle birds. Pigs, related to wild boars that could gore a human easily. Cats, solo apex predators in their own right. Humans have domesticated over 40 species. Each time, they selected for traits that served their purposes. They didn't just coexist with these animals, they reshaped them. Representative Vorak, a reptilian species known for military strength, leaned forward. This demonstrates significant strategic capability, but you said this was urgent. Many species domesticate others for food or labor. Why is this different? Because of what it tells us about human nature, Zixthar said. Dr. Krenal, please present your analysis. Dr. Krenal appeared on a side screen, broadcasting from Earth. Thank you, Ambassador. Council members, I've spent weeks studying Earth's history. Humans are persistence hunters. They evolved to chase prey over long distances until the prey collapsed from exhaustion. They're omnivores who can eat almost anything. They have exceptional endurance and can survive in nearly every climate. The doctor brought up evolutionary charts. Humans evolved as apex predators themselves. They competed with wolves, with big cats, with bears. They didn't just survive this competition, they won. They became the dominant species on their entire planet. But they didn't do it alone, Dr. Krenal continued. They formed partnerships. They domesticated horses for transportation. They domesticated dogs for hunting and protection. They domesticated cattle and sheep for food and materials. Every major step in human development involved bringing another species under their control. Representative Tazara, from an insect-like species, clicked their mandibles nervously. You make them sound like a virus, taking over everything, using everything. Or like us, said Representative Han Su, one of the few other predator species on the council. My people conquered 12 species before we developed space travel. We enslaved some, eliminated others. It's the nature of predators to dominate. But humans didn't enslave wolves, Dr. Kreenal said. That's what makes this fascinating. The relationship between humans and dogs is symbiotic. Dogs benefit too. They get reliable food, shelter, medical care, protection. Many dog breeds couldn't survive in the wild anymore. They need humans as much as humans want them. That makes it worse, Representative Kilara cried. They made these creatures dependent on them. The chamber erupted in argument. Species shouted across the room in dozens of languages, the translation system struggling to keep up. Some saw humans as dangerous manipulators. Others saw them as potential partners. Some called for immediate quarantine of Earth. Others argued for careful integration with strict monitoring. High Chancellor Morteth rang a harmonic tone that cut through the noise. Order! We will proceed systematically. They turned to Zixthar. Ambassador, what is your recommendation? Zixthar took a moment to compose their thoughts. High Chancellor, I believe we face a choice. We can see humanity's domestication of wolves as evidence of danger or as evidence of unprecedented capability for cross-species cooperation. How can it be cooperation when one species is completely transformed? Asked another representative. Because both species chose it, Zixthar said. Early wolves could have stayed wild. Many did. But some wolves chose to live near humans, to accept food from them, to eventually trust them. And humans chose to protect those wolves, to feed them, to bring them into their families. Over time, this became true partnership. A military analyst from the council staff stepped forward. High Chancellor, may I present additional findings? Morteth nodded. The analyst brought up more data. We've analyzed human military history. Every major human military throughout history used dogs, guard dogs, war dogs, scout dogs, messenger dogs. Humans weaponized their partnership with wolves. They literally brought their apex predator allies to war. In modern times, the analyst continued, humans use dogs for police work, for detecting explosives and drugs, for search and rescue, for helping disabled individuals, and for emotional support. The partnership has evolved, but it remains central to human society. Representative Vorak studied the data. I see tactical advantage. I see species-level strategy spanning thousands of years. But I also see loyalty. These dogs, they truly care for their humans. The bond is real. That's the question, said High Chancellor Morteth. Are humans master manipulators who can reshape other species to serve them? Or are they builders of bridges between species? Perhaps both, Zixthar said quietly. Perhaps that's what makes them remarkable. They see a dangerous wolf and think friend. They see a powerful horse and think partner. They don't just conquer, they connect. Or they see resources to exploit, countered Representative Kilara. We cannot ignore the danger. If humans can domesticate apex predators, what might they do to us? The question hung in the air. Around the chamber, representatives shifted uncomfortably. The implications were clear. If humanity joined the galactic community, they would bring their peculiar gift, or curse, for forming partnerships with other species. I propose a vote, said High Chancellor Morteth. Should humanity's integration into the galactic community proceed as scheduled, be delayed for further study, or be cancelled entirely with Earth placed under quarantine? The chamber fell silent. This was unprecedented. Never before had a species been so close to joining the council only to face rejection. "Before we vote," Vorak said, "I request that we hear from a human representative. Let them explain their relationship with these wolves-turned-dogs. Let them speak for themselves." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. High Chancellor Morteth considered this. "A reasonable request. Ambassador Zixthar, can you arrange this?" "Yes, High Chancellor. There is a human diplomat in orbit waiting in case she was needed. Dr. Sarah Chen, one of Earth's leading xenobiologists and a diplomatic representative." "Very well. We will hear from Dr. Chen before we vote. This session is adjourned until tomorrow. Ambassador, please prepare Dr. Chen. The future of human-galactic relations may rest on her words." As the council dispersed, Zixthar looked out at the stars. Somewhere down there on Earth, dogs were playing in parks. Children were hugging their furry friends, wolves that had been turned into companions over 40,000 years of partnership. Tomorrow, one human would have to explain how that was possible, and whether the galaxy should fear it or embrace it. Zixthar sent a message to Dr. Sarah Chen. "The council will see you tomorrow. Everything depends on your presentation. Bring your dog." Dr. Sarah Chen stood in the waiting chamber outside the Galactic Council Hall, adjusting her formal blue jacket one more time. Beside her sat Atlas, her German shepherd, his dark eyes calm and attentive. She had brushed his black and tan coat until it gleamed. His service dog vest was perfectly fitted. He looked professional, dignified. Nothing like the dangerous predator the council feared. "You ready, boy?" she whispered, running her hand over his head. Atlas leaned against her leg, offering silent support. He always knew when she was nervous. The doors opened. Ambassador Zixthar appeared, their three eyes showing what Sarah had learned to recognize as worry. "Dr. Chen, they're ready for you. I must warn you, the mood is not favorable. Many representatives are frightened. Some are angry. You'll need to choose your words carefully." Sarah took a deep breath. "I'll tell them the truth. That's all I can do. The truth may not be enough. Then nothing will be." Sarah straightened her shoulders. "Let's go." The council chamber took her breath away. It was enormous, filled with beings of every imaginable shape and size. She saw creatures that looked like walking trees, beings made of what appeared to be living water, something that might have been a cloud of gas in a containment field, and hundreds more, all watching her. High Chancellor Morteth's crystalline form caught the light as they spoke. "Dr. Sarah Chen of Earth, you have been granted the privilege of addressing this council. We have concerns about your species' relationship with the creatures you call dogs, and what this relationship indicates about human nature. Please, speak freely." Sarah walked to the central podium, Atlas beside her. She could feel the weight of hundreds of gazes. This was it. Humanity's future in the stars depended on the next few minutes. "Thank you, High Chancellor, honored representatives. My name is Sarah Chen, and this is Atlas. He's my service dog and my friend. Before I explain what that means, I want to acknowledge your concerns, your right to have them." Surprised murmurs rippled through the chamber. Sarah continued. "Yes, we domesticated wolves. Yes, wolves were apex predators. Yes, we changed them over thousands of years. Everything Ambassador Zixthar told you is true, but I think you've misunderstood why we did it and what it means." She gestured, and a holographic display activated, showing images she had prepared. 40,000 years ago, humans were struggling to survive. We had just begun leaving Africa and spreading across the world. We had stone tools, fire, and language. That was all. The world was full of dangerous animals, cave bears, saber-toothed cats, dire wolves, and we were weak compared to them. We had no claws, no thick fur, no venomous bite. We were slow compared to most prey. We weren't the strongest or the fastest or the most dangerous. Images showed early humans, vulnerable and small compared to the megafauna around them. But we had intelligence. We had cooperation. We had the ability to see potential where others saw only threat. When we encountered wolves, we saw something remarkable. We saw animals that were also intelligent, also social, also able to cooperate in groups. We saw ourselves reflected in them. The image changed to show wolves and humans sharing a campsite, wary but together. Some wolves were brave enough or desperate enough to approach our camps. Maybe they smelled our food. Maybe they were curious. Maybe they were outcasts from their own packs. We could have killed them. They could have attacked us. Instead, something extraordinary happened. We began to communicate. Sarah looked around the chamber. I know this sounds impossible. Two species finding common ground. But think about it. Both species hunted in groups. Both had complex social structures. Both used cooperation to survive. We weren't as different as we seemed. The first wolves that stayed near humans weren't fully domesticated. They were partners. They helped us hunt because it meant they got to eat too. We protected their pups because they warned us of danger. It was trade, fair trade between two species. Atlas shifted beside her, and Sarah rested her hand on his head. Over generations, something beautiful happened. We didn't just change wolves, they changed us too. Studies have shown that humans who live with dogs have better health, lower stress, and stronger social connections. Dogs helped us become more empathetic, more nurturing, more cooperative. The relationship shaped both species. Representative Kilara stood. But you made them dependent on you. Dogs can't survive without humans anymore. Some breeds. That's true, Sarah admitted. And that's a responsibility we take seriously. But let me ask you something. Is mutual dependence the same as exploitation? Atlas needs me to feed him, to care for him, to give him purpose. I need Atlas to help me with my anxiety disorder, to give me companionship, to remind me what loyalty looks like. We depend on each other. Is that wrong? She let the question hang for a moment. I don't think it is. I think it's the foundation of all good relationships. We need each other, and we're better together than we are apart. The display changed to show modern dogs in various roles. Guide dogs leading blind people, search and rescue dogs finding survivors in disasters, therapy dogs comforting sick children, police dogs protecting communities. Yes, we changed wolves, but we didn't break them. We helped them find new purposes. A wolf's purpose was to hunt, to survive, to raise their pack. A dog's purpose is still to work, to protect, to be part of a family. The core remains the same. We just expanded the definition of pack to include humans. Representative Vorak spoke up. You make it sound noble, but your species used dogs for war. You weaponized them. Sarah nodded slowly. Yes, we did. Humans have a complicated history. We're capable of great kindness and terrible cruelty, often at the same time. We've used dogs in war, but we've also used them to save lives in those same wars. We're not perfect. We've made mistakes with dogs, with other animals, with each other. But we try to learn. We try to do better. She paused, gathering her thoughts. You want to know if humans are dangerous. The answer is yes. We are. We're persistence hunters who never give up. We're social creatures who form powerful alliances. We're tool users who can reshape our environment. We're intelligent enough to be a threat to any species we encounter. The chamber went very quiet. But we're also the species that looked at a dangerous predator and saw a friend. We're the species that spends billions of dollars every year caring for animals that serve no practical purpose except to make us happy. We're the species that cries when our dogs die, that builds hospitals for sick animals, that creates laws to protect creatures that can't speak for themselves. Sarah knelt down beside Atlas. He looked up at her with absolute trust. 40,000 years ago, a human and a wolf took a chance on each other. Neither knew where it would lead, but they chose trust over fear. They chose partnership over conflict, and look what happened. She stood facing the council. Atlas is a German shepherd. His breed was created to herd sheep, to protect livestock. He's descended from wolves that could take down prey twice their size. But when he's with me, he's gentle. When children come up to pet him, he sits very still so they're not afraid. When I'm having a panic attack, he leans against me until I calm down. He knows his strength, and he chooses kindness. That's what domestication really is, Sarah continued. It's not about making something weaker. It's about teaching strength and gentleness to coexist. Atlas is still strong, still intelligent, still capable. But he's chosen to use those traits to help rather than harm. High Chancellor Mortith spoke. You argue that this domestication represents humanity's capacity for partnership. But what of the wolves that remained wild? What of the species you drove to extinction? What of your wars against each other? I'm not arguing that humans are perfect, Sarah said firmly. We're not. We've destroyed species. We've harmed our planet. We've fought terrible wars. We carry the capacity for both creation and destruction. But so does every intelligent species. The question isn't whether we're capable of harm. The question is whether we're capable of learning, of growing, of choosing a better path. She gestured to Atlas again. This is proof that we are. We took 40,000 years to turn wolves into dogs. We didn't rush, we didn't force. We built a relationship slowly, over generations, until both species were transformed. That's patience. That's commitment. That's the ability to think beyond our own lifetimes and work toward a distant goal. And now, Sarah said, her voice growing stronger, we want to extend that same approach to the galaxy, not to domesticate you. That's not what this is about, but to form partnerships, to learn from you, to find common ground, to build something together that neither of us could build alone. She looked directly at Representative Kilara. You're afraid we'll try to change you. I understand that fear, but humans learned something important from wolves. The best partnerships aren't about changing the other person. They're about both parties choosing to adapt, to grow, to become something new together while keeping what makes them unique. Dogs aren't broken wolves, Sarah said. They're wolves that found a new way to live. And humans who live with dogs aren't unchanged humans. We're humans who learned about loyalty, about unconditional love, about the joy of caring for another living being. Both species are different than we would have been alone, and both species are better for it. The chamber was silent. Sarah could feel her heart pounding. She had said everything she could think to say. She had told the truth about humanity, the good and the bad, the hope and the fear. Ambassador Zixthar stood. High Chancellor, if I may speak? Proceed, Ambassador. I have spent 2 months on Earth, Zixthar said. I have observed humans and dogs in every setting. I have watched children grow up with dogs as their companions. I have seen elderly humans whose dogs are their only family. I have witnessed the bond Dr. Mei Chen describes. Zixthar walked to where Sarah stood. When I first learned about wolves, I was frightened. I thought humans must be master manipulators, reshaping other species to serve them. But I realized something. Humans didn't just change wolves. They invited wolves into their lives, into their homes, into their hearts. The ambassador looked around at the council. No human child is taught to fear dogs. They're taught to respect them, to care for them, to love them. After 40,000 years, humans still see dogs as partners, not as tools. That's not manipulation. That's genuine partnership. High Chancellor Morteth's crystalline form seemed to glow brighter. This is unprecedented. A species that can form such deep bonds with another species, especially one that was once a rival predator. They paused. Dr. Chen, would you allow one of our representatives to meet Atlas personally? Sarah nodded. Of course. Representative Kilara slowly approached the podium. They moved carefully, their herbivore instincts clearly worried about the predator descendant standing there. Atlas watched them come, his ears forward with interest, but his body language relaxed. It's okay, Sarah said softly. Atlas, sit. Gentle. Atlas sat, his tail moving slightly against the floor. Kilara reached out with a trembling appendage. Atlas sniffed it carefully, then his tail wagged faster. The representative touched the top of Atlas's head with obvious fear. Atlas leaned into the touch very gently, his eyes soft. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then Kilara made a sound, something that the translation system interpreted as surprised laughter. He's warm and soft, and his eyes. There's intelligence there, and kindness. That's what humans learned 40,000 years ago, Sarah said quietly. Sometimes the things we fear most can become our greatest allies, if we're brave enough to reach out. High Chancellor Morteth let the moment stretch. Then they spoke. The Galactic Council will now vote on humanity's integration. All in favor of accepting humanity into the galactic community on the originally scheduled timeline? The voting took 5 minutes. When it was done, the tally appeared. 189 in favor, 48 abstaining, 0 against. The motion passes, Morteth announced. Humanity will be welcomed into the galactic community. Dr. Chen, please inform your people, and thank you. You have reminded us all that the distance between enemy and friend is sometimes just a choice. The choice to trust, to reach out, to believe that partnership is possible. Sarah felt tears forming in her eyes. Thank you, High Chancellor. We won't let you down. As she and Atlas left the chamber, she heard Representative Kilara call out, Dr. Chen, when dogs have puppies, do humans ever let other species adopt them? Sarah laughed through her tears. We do, actually. Would you like to learn about dog training? Behind her, Ambassador Zixthar smiled with their 3 eyes. They thought about adding a note to their final report, something about humanity's greatest strength. But then they decided against it. The Council had seen it for themselves. Humans had looked at wolves, dangerous, wild, fierce wolves, and seen potential friends. They had spent 40,000 years building a partnership based on trust, mutual benefit, and genuine affection. If humans could do that with wolves, what might they accomplish with the rest of the galaxy? The future was uncertain, as all futures are. But for the first time in a long time, Zixthar felt something unusual. Hope. In the waiting area outside the council chamber, a group of representatives gathered around Atlas, asking questions and carefully petting him. The German shepherd sat patiently, tail wagging, accepting treats and gentle touches from beings who had never seen a dog before. And somewhere in the cosmos, on a blue planet called Earth, millions of dogs slept peacefully beside their human families. Descendants of wolves who had taken a chance on partnership 40,000 years ago. The experiment had worked, and now it was about to go galactic.